everybody, welcome back to Q-Tips. We are the Video Store Junkies, and we are back once again to bring you a few selections to watch over the weekend on streaming. And we're going to get right into this, and I will throw this to Zachary.
Thank you so much, Renee. I have a theme this week. And as usual, my theme started because I wanted to recommend a couple of classic TV shows slash movies. I wanted to recommend some works of Kenneth Johnson. Some of you may know Kenneth Johnson, maybe not personally, but you probably know of him. He was a TV writer in the 70s and 80s, and he created two of my favorite alien invasion properties. He created V, and he created Alien Nation, which I both love. I was very excited to recommend both of them. However, they're not streaming anywhere because streaming sucks. So instead, I'm going to, my theme this week is going to be the spirit of Kenneth Johnson, because anytime, pretty much anytime after 1983 when V premiered, anytime you saw a giant spaceship hovering over a city in a TV or a show or a movie, it was kind of an ode to Kenneth Johnson. So the first recommendation I have, this is actually a movie that I didn't love, but it's one of those movies that it had some interesting aspects. It had some really, really interesting production design, and it had a great cast. So I'm not gonna give this my wholehearted recommendation. I'm gonna give it a half-hearted recommendation. That's all you get from me for this one. The movie is Captive State, and it is set in a future where aliens have invaded the world, and they've taken it over. They have not. It's not full on. Like Independence Day style. They haven't blown everything up, but they've basically taken everything over, and they've killed anyone who tries to rebel against them. And it's about a group of people who are fighting against the aliens, much like in V. So that's the spirit of Kenneth Johnson. This one, like I said, it's a great cast. It stars John Goodman, and also has Jonathan Majors in it. We're not going to worry about that too much. But it also has features small roles by Alan Ruck, Kevin J. O'Connor, and D.B. Sweeney. So it's got a great supporting cast. Like I said, yeah, it's not a great film, but it's got some really cool production design if you're into cool sci-fi production design. Some of the aliens and their ships and stuff are kind of neat. So again, like this is the sort of thing I say, if you're into science fiction, if you're into this sort of thing, it's definitely worth checking out. And I will say, if you're going to watch this, don't watch the trailer. Don't actually, I'm actually looking at IMDb right now. Don't look at IMDb. Literally, the trailer, literally the first photo on IMDb, there are all of these promotional images that feature a major spoiler. Like, I figured out the ending of the movie because I remember the shot from the trailer, and I was like, "Oh, I know exactly what's going to happen now." So, if this sounds interesting, if this sounds like an interesting movie, don't bother watching the trailer. Just go watch the first couple minutes and see if it seems interesting. Anyways, Captive State is playing on Fubo, Showtime, and DirecTV, and yeah, that's all I got to say about that. So, speaking of major spoilers, I am going to pass it over to the king of spoilers, Paul Cordulo. I don't know why they call you that, but I keep hearing that about you, the king of spoilers. I think it's because of your car, right?
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Yeah, okay.
Vroom, vroom. Well, no spoilers in these, I'll tell you that much. My brain is fried. There you go. There we go. Okay. My recommendations tonight are going to be the films of director Emma Seligman, and the first film I'm going to recommend is Shiva Baby, playing on Max, Hoopla, Canopy, DirecTV, and Cinemax. Wait. There's another thing. There's another service that has Max in the name. Cinemax even. Shiva Baby stars Rachel Sennett, and she plays a young college student who goes to a Jewish funeral service with her parents, and she just happens to run into not only her sugar daddy, but also her ex-girlfriend. And it gets, it gets more and more awkward and uncomfortable as it goes on. It's only 77 minutes of uncomfort, but it's really funny with some bit of drama to it too. Really great stuff. but it is worth checking out. And so I'm going to keep it spoiler free. So we'll say Shiva Baby, again, that's on Max, Hoopla, Canopy with a K, DirecTV, and Cinemax. And speaking about sugar daddies, I'll pass this to Bill.
Why, thank you. I think Paul got the name King of Spoilers when he was like waiting in line to see Titanic and said, like, can't wait till I see all the special effects when the ship sinks, ruining it for everyone else who was there. Like, wow. So my theme for this week is Canada. Canadian horror movies. Oh, Canada. I can spot a Canadian movie like within just a few minutes. Okay, one of these is very good and one of these is very bad, but they're both very Canadian. And I can't tell you why. I'm not being snarky. There's something, when I start watching this one, I know immediately this is very Canadian. I don't know if it's the lack of genetic diversity and in the cast, if it's just a kind of a cold clinical look. Everything looks like a Cronenberg movie. And you realize, well, Cronenberg's Canadian. Of course his movies look like this. Well, mine is from 1988. It's one of those horror movies that people often recommend as a horror movie nobody sees. Pin, A Plastic Nightmare. And it has a great cast. It stars David Hewlett, who did a number of cool things, Cynthia Preston, Terry O'Quinn, the stepfather, who then, really reached his fame as, the bald guy in Lost. Good actor. And it's about these two kids who are just doomed. Mom is an OCD freak. Dad's a doctor, but he's a creepy doctor. And he has trouble, just relating to his kids. So what he does is a ventriloquist act. Yeah, it's got ventriloquism in it. But normally the most horrible thing is the dummy, right? The horrible little wooden people that everyone talks to and argue with, and I never understood it. But this one's worse because he's just got this anatomical mannequin in his office. It's one of those like the Visible Man, life size, anatomically correct. It's got like just no skin, just plastic on top. You can see all his organs and everything on the inside. And Terry O'Quinn does a pretty good job of ventriloquism. He's got, Edgar Bergen beat for sure. You barely see his lips move at all. I don't know how they did it. And what even more amazingly, his voice sounds exactly like, what's Jonathan Banks. Jonathan Banks from Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul. Mike, one of the greatest characters in the history. Yes. So this is when he was much younger than his current age, Dirt, and but still a great voice, a really solid, good voice, and it's creepy having it come out here. So the kids grow up and they learn like the birds and the bees from Pin. The girl names him Pin. The girl, I think, pretty much from the get-go understands that this is all a show. The boy, unfortunately, does not, and Pin becomes his best friend. And after the parents are killed in a kind of ludicrous car accident, Pin, he learns to speak in Pin's voice. And there you go. So it's about a young woman who had a rough upbringing, but is doing the best she can and is sort of overcoming it. And her brother, who has not overcome it. And things go pretty south. It's really good. It really is good. It's a little bit creepy. It's a lot of bit creepy. Unsettling. There's not a lot of gore. There's not a lot of sex. There's just this unsettling quality. You're not sure exactly where it's going. And yeah, it's good. Now, this was going to be one of New World Pictures' last films to be released, but they decided to just cut their losses. And so it went direct to video, which is a shame. I don't think it ever would have been a monster hit, but I think it deserves more credit than it gets. It's not playing anywhere, but the whole thing is right there on YouTube. Nobody gives a rat's ass about this movie. And I wasn't really all that much. I must have passed it 1,000 times looking at it and like, But a lot of Canadian genre movies are not great. But there's a few like this and Cube that get pretty much shoved in there with all the others, but they are definitely a cut above. So I do recommend this one. It's a I don't want to say fun little film, but it's good. It's good. Solid entertainment there. And speaking of someone who's solid entertainment, I will throw this to Renee.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much. You know, I sort of feel like maybe I know why that movie didn't do so well. The trailer for it is quite terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's two
Yeah,
movies
it
in a row that have had bad trailers. Either
Yeah.
don't make you want to watch the movie or give you everything you need, and there's no reason to watch the movie. You've seen it all.
Anyway, so my movie, incidentally, stars a Canadian-born actor. And this movie is about a guy. He's got a lot going on. And it's really, it's not his fault that he was born into a family and that one day he was destined to kill a man. And that man is a priest. And he's like trying to hunt him down his whole life. And this kid is raised by this family. I'm really describing this quite badly. This young guy, so his whole adopted family gets murdered, but he has this gift, this amazing gift of being able to talk to the animals, and through his animal companions and his hot girlfriend Tanya Roberts, he is able to get his revenge upon this man and prevail, and justice is served. And this movie is called The Beastmaster. And I love this movie when I was a kid. It was super traumatizing though, because there's like this scene where they're fixing to sacrifice this kid. It's in the trailers and it's not a big deal. But it was super traumatizing for me to watch this as a child thinking, oh great, one day I'm gonna get sacrificed off the side of a pyramid. But it was great. I wanted to be the Beastmaster. I wanted to be able to communicate with the animals and just live a happy life with the animals and like screw all those other people. So yeah, this is great. It's a lot of fun. It's very silly, but it's just very fun. And it's the Beastmaster, and it's on Amazon Prime and the History Vault and Indie Fix and Cult Fix. And on that note, I'll pass this over to Zachary.
Thank you, Renee. Yeah, love the Beastmaster. Hey, you know who is in the Beastmaster?
Who?
Well, I would hope you know
Rip
because
Torn?
you just watched it. I'm assuming.
I didn't know who you were setting me up for.
Oh, Mark. No. I'm setting you up for the Beastmaster himself, Mr. Mark
Oh,
Singer.
Mark Singer, the
Yeah,
Canadian,
yeah.
the Canadian actor Mark Singer.
Yeah, who is also
who is in
incidentally. What's that, Paul?
What?
Wasn't he in V? Or is that where you're going to?
Yeah. Thanks
sorry.
for ruining my setup.
Jumped your claim.
Oh, wow. Nice.
Man.
Edit that out, Renee. I get the insolence.
You want to start that
Oh
over
no,
again?
I'm editing this one. I'll edit it out. The insolence.
Is the Canadian-born actor Mark Singer?
Yes, star of what else? V. Wow, what a coincidence.
Oh,
No, it's actually funny. I was at Dragon Con a few years ago, and Mark Singer was there.
Oh, wow.
And he did he had a panel. It was, I don't know if you call it a panel. It was just him. But he was just talking about his career and taking questions and stuff. Seems like a really cool guy, but he had a story about the making of the Beastmaster. And what is it? Is it a tiger that's his companion?
Oh, you're going to
Yeah.
tell the tiger story?
Yeah. Oh no. I was
is
just
that
gonna.
what you're
I just thought it was funny because he's like I guess they were like getting the tiger used to him. So like the trainers basically he went out on a walk and then the trainers were there with the tiger. The tiger was like on a leash or whatever. But then like at one point the tiger he just stopped and the tiger like latched onto his leg. Not like biting it, but like 2 milliseconds away from taking his leg off. The trainers were just like, don't move. So he said he just stood there for like several minutes or what felt like several hours with this tiger trying to decide whether to gnaw his leg off. Spoiler, it didn't, but anyways, yeah, I thought that was the dedication. And that was back in the day when if you wanted to have a tiger in the movie, you had to actually have a tiger in the movie and you couldn't just CGI it in. Anyways.
I just wanted to mention that he got off easy. Sure, there was a ill-trained tiger on the set, but you know who was supposed to originally play the bad guy? I mean, they got Rip Torn, and that's scary enough. But Rip Torn is Rebecca of Sunnybrook Farm over their original choice. Yep, Klaus Kinski.
What?
Ah!
Holy shit! That would have been
Can you imagine? Yeah.
interesting. Huh?
Yep.
I did not realize that. Okay, sorry, I diverted us there. So let's get back to the spirit of Kenneth Johnson. So hey, speaking of V, the thing I love, and the reason I really love talking about the V slash Alien Nation stuff is like it's kind of a really interesting idea when you think about it. Like V is basically a question of what if aliens came to Earth and they had ulterior motives and they wanted to take us over and repress us. Which, by the way, Bill, I was rewatching the other week, and I remembered a conversation we had because I totally forgot about this. In V, you know why they're coming to Earth?
To steal our water.
To steal our water. And I was like, oh man, we had this conversation just a couple weeks ago. I can't remember if it was on mic or not, but anyways, I thought that was funny. But okay, so V, they're coming to Earth to oppress us and steal our water for some reason. And in Alien Nation, it is a ship that makes its way to Earth, and then we find out that actually like all the people on it were actually is a slave ship, and so they're not trying to take us over, but we kind of bring them down and they try to assimilate into society. And so I can't help but draw a distinction, and I really, or a direct line between, I think, I can't help but imagine that was a strong influence for one of my favorite films of the 2000s. This is a film that I genuinely love. I've watched it, oh man, a dozen times. It never gets old. This is another movie about a giant alien ship that arrives on Earth over a major metropolitan area, and it turns out that the inhabitants are actually slaves. Although in this film, I love the change of scenery. They're not in L.A. or New York as they usually are. They're over Johannesburg. I'm of course talking about District 9. Which is the premiere film from director Neil Blomkamp, who unfortunately has not made a movie this good since. But it stars Sharlto Copley, who was a complete unknown at the time. He's gone on to be in a bunch of movies, including the A-Team. This is the question of what happens when aliens come down and they're basically treated like actual illegal aliens, and what happens when one of the people who's kind of responsible for oppressing this new race actually, let's just say that he gets infected with something and he starts becoming that which he has been oppressing. So I won't say anything else if you haven't seen it. If you're one of the few people who haven't caught this one, I just love this movie. I adore it. It's so good. Sharlto Copley is one of those actors that I don't know. I just think he's just a natural. And I love watching him in anything. So yeah, District 9. I mean, he's no James Caan in Alien Nation, but I can't recommend that. So District 9 is on Hulu and AMC, and I highly recommend. Unlike my first recommendation, this is a wholehearted recommendation. This is truly one of my favorite films of the 2000s, and if you haven't seen it, I highly recommend it. And speaking of people that don't compare to James Caan in Alien Nation, I will pass it over to Paul.
Why, thank you, Zach. I will second District 9. So there you go. So let's see. So my second film, which again is written and directed by Emma Seligman, though this one she actually co-wrote with Rachel Sennett, and it stars Rachel Sennett and Ayo Edebiri. It is Bottoms, currently playing on Prime, Fubo, and MGM Plus. And in this you have two young women in high school. It's a throwback kind of like to a 90s high school sex comedy. But in this, you have two young women who start basically a fight club for girls in their high school so that they can meet the cute girls that they really like. It is insanely funny. It is raunchy. It is funny. It's weird. It has some really strange humor in it that just hits perfectly. And I kind of came up with this theme because I want to recommend this one because this is a non-recommendation for a film that's in the theaters. Is this weekend we went and saw Drive Away Dolls by Ethan Coen and Trisha Cook, and that was a 90s throwback sex comedy with a queer twist that had no laughs in it. It was just terrible. It was really a disappointment. We were so disappointed. We're like, Oh, this should have been good. Yeah. Margaret Qualley has the worst Texas accent. She sounds like Sandy Squirrel from SpongeBob. It's miserable. And so I was like, well, how about a queer 90s throwback sex comedy that is actually hilarious? And that's Bottoms, currently playing on Prime, Fubo, and MGM Plus. And speaking of very funny people, I'll pass this to Bill Mulligan.
Oh, wow. Well, that's disappointing because it's a Coen brother film, not a Coen brothers, but there you go. But you know what? As bad as it was, it could not possibly be as bad or as entertaining as my next trip through the Canadian wilds. Okay, so sometimes you find a movie where you just sit there and you're amazed. Like, did this fall out of a dimensional portal? You know, a jump point, and you know it makes sense in some place. And I give you, and it's available on Fubo. 1987's Rock and Roll Nightmare. OMGLOL. So it stars John McKell Thor, who was a bodybuilder and a singer who also decided to make movies. And I saw him perform at a horror convention. This guy he was huge. He was like Hulk Hogan, worked out. I mean, big giant muscles. And that's what he did while he sang. He sang not my favorite kind of music. It was some heavy metal hair stuff. I mean, his hair, man is single-handedly responsible for almost destroying the ozone layer. I cannot emphasize just how big a poofy head of hair this guy had. And he'd be singing his songs. And while he was singing his songs, he would like take out a horseshoe and bend it. I'm like, wow, then throw it to the ground. We're like, oh, it was a fake horseshoe. We'd pick it up, try to bend it back in shape. Nope. And then the one that really got me, in the middle of a song, apropos of nothing, takes out a rubber water bottle, and blows into it until it bursts. Try that. Try that sometime. Oh my God. Now, the music was terrible, and his acting is so bad. By the end of this movie, it crosses into brilliance. This is about a bunch of guys, rock and rollers who get in a van, and they're driving around, and stuff happens. People die. It's really pretty substandard. And then we get to the last 15 minutes. And I just want to tell you, if I had to take things on a desert island, I'd take a lot of classics, The Godfather, Spartacus, Eyes Without a Face. But there would be a space left for the last 15 minutes of Rock and Roll Nightmare, where suddenly I'm going to spoil the hell out of it. Because really, my advice to you is watch the last 15 minutes. You go on YouTube and just look up ending of Rock and Roll Nightmare, and I will save you a lot of trouble, and you'll still get all the brilliance without any of the aggravation. Thor's the last guy left, last man standing, and these monsters are literally hand puppets. They're hand puppets. And the big monster's there. He's like a giant hand puppet, like a marionette or something. I mean, he's fairly large, but really immobile. You can almost see the strings. And that's when John McHale, Thor, reveals that he is an archangel. And he's about to have a battle with the devil himself. And you got to watch it. You've got to see it. You've got to hear the dialogue, see the delivery, watch these awful special effects that I would be simultaneously ashamed and proud of if I had any relationship to this movie, because it's perfect. It is so rare do you see perfection distilled and crystallized. This is everything that Canadian cinema is all about. The final battle in Rock and Roll Nightmare. And oh man, I love his performance in this. Is it good? No, it's as far away from good as possible, but it's perfect for this. And there's a kind of genius there, If you're making a porn film and you're doing like good King Lear, you're really not, you haven't embraced the whole concept of this of what you're doing. Well, he totally embraced it. Oh my God, it's so good. But the first bunch of the movie, nobody cares. But you got to watch it. It's great. I just can't say enough. So yes, go on Fubo or whatever and catch that. It's Rock and Roll Nightmare. It's on the Roku. Wait, no, it's free on the Roku channel. It ought to be on everything. I can't believe it's not on Tubi. This is like a movie that was made for Tubi. Like you half expect to see Tubi Presents at the beginning. Like, we sent them $5,000 to make a movie, and this is what we got. And he's still out there. There's actually a documentary about him. He's still out there rocking. I mean, he's a lot older, as are we all. Probably not as easy to blow up hot water bottles, but I'm sure he gives it his try. But go catch this. And I will send this to Renee.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much. So this recommendation it's a bit of an odd one. It's probably not something I will ever recommend again, something of this nature, but I think it's interesting. As many of you are aware, back in October of 2021, there was an incident on the set of the movie Rust, and cinematographer Helena Hutchins unfortunately passed away. And right now, the trial for the armorer, her name is Hannah Gutierrez Reed, is going on right now. They're in about, I think the third or fourth day of the trial. It's really interesting. That's the reason I'm recommending it. If people are interested in that situation and what happened, and if it's something they want to watch, it is available on YouTube. You can watch the whole day of the trial. They are live streaming it every day, so you can start back and watch the whole darn thing. There are a lot of breaks and things like that, but it is a full 8 hours of courtroom stuff. So it's really interesting. On top of just the legalities of everything, there's discussions about production. There's a lot of videos. There's a lot of photos. There's a lot of discussion of today, right now, there was a dolly grip that was testifying, and they even get into the details of what are you holding? Well, it's like a clapboard, and what's the writing on it mean? And they get very detailed with even just the production components of a movie set, and that in itself is interesting. So, and even the way that people interacted on the set, just from the conversations that they bring up during their testimony, it's all just very interesting. And so I feel like there may be a few people who are interested in that and watching it. And if you are, it is available on YouTube. And you can search for New Mexico versus, honestly could just search for New Mexico versus Hannah, and it will just pop right up. But her full name is Hannah Gutierrez Reed. Alec Baldwin's trial is scheduled to start in the summer. So just a little stuff. And today also, they had some video they were showing from when they were blocking the scene from that actual day, and things that happened that particular day on set, and the camera crew walked off because of safety issues very same day.
No.
Yeah. Yeah. It was just a lot of stuff. So yeah, I apologize, a little bit of a somber note to end things on, but yeah, there you go. The Rust shooting trial on YouTube. So I think that's all we've got. Does anybody have anything they want to sing us out with?
Well, I asked ChatGPT to write me a song about Canadian horror movies set to the theme of Oh Canada. And then while you guys were talking, I missed all your review because I was listening to Oh Canada so I could do this right. And I realized that ChatGPT was not up to the task. Apparently they're afraid of, rights or, copyright or something. So they get the first line fine, but from that point on, I'm on my own. I mean...
You mean the copyright to Oh Canada?
Yeah, I mean, which has got to be in the public domain at this point. Canada's been around for a long time. But, no, apparently, because I've listened to it, and these lyrics do not go with that. You just let me down. Like asking Google to give me a picture of a white person. They're just not up to the task of doing this. Apparently, they're probably afraid I'm going to mock them or something. And no, I really like Canadian horror movies. They just have a very distinctive vibe to them. It's I find it interesting. I mean, movies are movies, but low budget movies are very much like the culture that they come from. So low budget British movies are like stage plays. They really try to get the lighting right and razor sharp cinematography and everything. And low budget American movies, they're grainy and cheap looking, but that's why their horror movies work so well. Low budget American horror movies just have that. It's like, this is a documentary. This is actually happening quality that the British just don't really have. And And the Canadians are, boy, they got their own thing going. But I can't sing this. So, in the tradition of another fine Canadian singer, maybe Canada's best singer. No, not Celine Dion. William Shatner. I will just do this as if it's spoken word.
Perfect.
Oh, Canada, land of maple leaf, where horror films can give you quite a fright. From coast to coast, they churn them out with glee, but some are so bad they keep us up at night. See, right away, maple leaf does not rhyme with glee. Nice try, ChatGPT. just really just letting me down on the spot here, you know? Oh, Canada, may your horror tales endure. Though they may not always thrill, they certainly have allure. For in the heart of every fright, therein lies a dream. In the land of, oh, Canada, where horror reigns supreme. There you go. I'll cut out.
I actually kind of like. I do kind of like that last line.
Yeah,
the
that wasn't
land of
bad.
Canada, where horror reigns supreme. Well, hey, Bill, that's actually a good segue because it almost sounds like you expected the AI to do something
Yes.
really well. And
Yes,
it turned out
I
to be
did.
pretty shitty. That's actually an interesting. That's an interesting point to make because I think. I'll cut this out if we actually don't end up doing it, but I think if you tune in next week or maybe the week after, we're gonna have a discussion about AI and how it pertains to films. Because if you go on the interwebs and you look at anything related to AI, you will see plenty of people who are insisting that AI will replace real filmmakers in just a few years, including some highly paid filmmakers themselves. So. Hey, let's have a discussion about that, and we'll set the record straight. This is mostly going to be an excuse for me to just rant for a couple hours about all these idiots, but
Right there with you, pal.
we'll pretend it's going to be a discussion.
After watching John Landis walk away without even a slap on the wrist, I have no confidence that any justice will ever be done. But
It was a mess. Like, it was a mess. Like, full on, like, they showed like a tray of bullets and like full on live ammo
take your
mixed
pick.
in with dummies.
Wait,
it was
what?
bad.
Oh,
Jesus Christ!
Oh yeah, it was bad. Like, there was a belt, and there was literally live ammo in the belt mixed in with like dummy rounds.
oh my God, that's insane.
It was bad. It was really
Jesus
bad.
Christ!
Why did they even have live ammo in the beginning at all? I mean,
Well,
you would
because
think-
they're literally like the Wild West out there. They were fucking around and like shooting,
Yeah.
doing target practice and stuff in their free time. Like,
I'm not a filmmaker. I don't know anything about filmmaking, but
Yes,
from my
well, neither do
understanding,
these people.
when you're making a movie that involves firearms, you basically draw a 20-mile circle around the set, and you make sure that there is no live ammunition in that radius.
Oh, you'd be
Like,
surprised.
Jesus Christ!
Oh, you'd be surprised.
I literally don't understand because
No, I wouldn't be surprised. Let's be clear. I totally totally expect that there are plenty of
Yeah, it'll
idiots
blow
out
your
there that-
mind.
these
Yeah.
guys can build a prop, any prop you want, but apparently making a gun that looks like a real gun but cannot under any circumstances fire an actual bullet is just a bridge too far. You know, like, oh,
What's
now
even the point
we
of
had to
having
use
a bullet?
Yeah, why?
Even if it's a dummy round, what's the purpose of having it in there?
What happened like to Brandon Lee was horrible, but it was a series of, like, you know, we have these bullets that have a real front, but they don't have any powder in the back, and then we got the ones that have powder in the back, but they don't have a front, and we accidentally stuck one in, and then the other one in, and we sort of magically remade a bullet. Okay, you're like, well, that's got to be 1,000,000 to 1 shot, but this just sounds like absolute anarchy.
It was really seemed like chaos, and honestly, just from the videos that they showed, even from when like police and everybody showed up on the scene, it makes you think of movies like the Polonia Brothers is probably like a very high end, like, secure set. They were just running around like they who nobody there's no oversight. They're literally in the middle of the desert. It was just crazy.
Money laundering. Cough, cough. Yeah.
I get why they use dummy rounds. I mean, you basically you have
Why?
something that. Well, I'm about to tell you. Hold on, Renee. Jeez. No, it makes sense that you have something that people can react to, and I understand that like they use dummy rounds, and like even if they're not using dummy rounds, they still I think they use something called flashes or something like that, which is basically an electric. They especially use these like if they're filming somewhere and there are noise ordinances, and they have like a flash on it that will basically something that you can cue off of, or something that will look real. But yeah, that's insane that they had live ammunition on set. That's just insane. Like, look, you're talking about the wild, like a low budget Wild West type situation. Like, I always think of the fact that like if you read Lloyd Kaufman's books, you would think that the maker of such films as Sergeant Kabuki Man and The Toxic Avenger, like those sets sound like very chaotic and very unconstrained, and he is constantly talking in his books. Obviously I've never been on one of his sets, so I can't tell you if he actually practices this, but he is constantly talking in his books like no matter what, your number one priority is always the safety of your cast and crew. Like that is the first thing you think about no matter what is going on. So yeah, that's insane.
Yeah. And then I will say it was kind of bad too, because I think during interviews, Alec Baldwin was like, I never had my finger on the trigger. Cut to this videos they were showing today when they were doing blocking and everything. He literally had his finger on the trigger every single time they did it. It was like, ooh, I did.
So, narrator, he had his finger on the trigger.
In fact,
Yeah.
Martin Freeman standing right behind him. Yeah. Oh man. Wow, that's awful. That was like there was also that one. I mean, there was the one with the people were actually filming on a train track, and then a train showed up and they weren't able to. And then and like, but they sounded like they sound like a bunch of amateurs. They sounded like the people.
It wasn't like a dude, like a dude by himself or something kind of crazy.
Yeah, it was stupid, but I could see that happening with we're guerrilla filmmakers, and it's like, well, but this seemed like it was a real production with real people, and they should know better, but no, I guess it was just one big party.
It was kind of crazy. Yeah.
Honestly,
it kind of made me think of like when they show movies being made in movies, like they definitely make it look much better than it is in real life. No, there's no people with clipboards and headsets and nope.
And then you start thinking, I mean, I joke money laundering, but honestly, how is this ever supposed to make any money? This doesn't sound like something that's going to get released to theaters. Hardly anything gets released to theaters anymore. It's a genre that's... Go ahead.
Oh, no, sorry. I was going to say, it sounds like the problem was they weren't spending enough money on it because they couldn't hire a real armor or a real safety crew.
Yeah.
But let's say they spent $100 million on them, which, is pretty much any movie these days. Like, from the people who brought you whatever, Alec Baldwin in a rip-roaring tale from the Old West. Oh, yeah, asses in seats, just standing room only. I don't know where this money goes. Did you see I'm going to just get off tangent here for a minute, but you know me. Did you see what they're spending on Joker 2?
No.
Oh, God.
No.
Okay, so the Joker, the first movie, it was relatively low budget, $60 million, and it made $1 billion. Even with Hollywood math, there's no way they can pretend that wasn't a big hit. That took them by surprise. They made buffo profit. Because wow, it's amazing because it's a superhero movie with no superheroes, no superheroics, no flashy special effects. It's an acting movie. It's a drama. They decide to make a sequel because when your movie costs $60 million and makes $1 billion, oh yes, you get a sequel. You could blow up the planet, and they're going to have Escape from the Joker will be the next movie. He's alive again. They're all alive. They got Lady Gaga to play Harley Quinn. All right, she's twice the age she needs to be, but you know what? That's good stunt casting. It'll work. It will actually bring people in. They are spending $200 million on this movie. $200 million. I'm assuming they're not going to suddenly turn this into Guardians of the Galaxy 4 or anything. We're not going to have spaceships and armadas and big fancy things. It's still going to be set in New York, and it's going to be realistic violence, not over-the-top cartoon violence. $200 million?
It's also a musical, so it's a $200 million musical.
Stop. No, it's not. Are you?
It is.
Yeah, it is. It's a
That's why they
It's a
cast
musical.
Lady Gaga.
Stop it.
Yes, it
Yeah.
is. It is. So
No.
Okay. I have two things. First of all, I just looked it up. Rust had the always dependable IMDb says that Rust had a budget of $7 million, so not a whole lot.
Yeah.
That easily, probably could have
Yeah.
made some money on streaming. Also, I just had a flashback. Bill, do you remember many years ago when we were filming we were shooting some found footage zombie stuff in a cornfield.
a cornfield,
And
yes, of course.
We had a bunch of airsoft guns that we were using for people that were shooting at zombies. And I don't know why I just remember this. But speaking of safety, like I remember someone had brought like some actual he had like an actual revolver. And he was like, I want to have this. I want to have this on my, I won't shoot it or point it at anything. And I was like, no, you cannot have a real gun on set. You have to take that and put it somewhere.
Yeah.
You cannot have a real gun on set.
Yeah.
And I'm just thinking maybe I should be a safety supervisor on these movies, because apparently I have even more common sense than people who are actually hired to keep people alive on these movies.
Yeah, but you also got to take into account that when you go up to Alec Baldwin and say, "Hey, Alec, I think you need to not put your finger on the trigger," he's gonna tell you to fuck off in so many different variations of the term.
Well, I won't even get into the whole Alec Baldwin thing. Whoever was responsible for making sure that there was not live ammunition on the set, like whoever that person is, which I think is the person that is on trial here, right, Renee?
Yeah.
The armor or the safety supervisor.
Yeah.
Like, it boggles my mind that person, excuse me, was not like, hey, don't put your finger on the trigger, but if you do, at least there aren't real bullets in the gun, because I checked it,
She was too busy trying to remember, did the real bullets go on the left side of the cookie tray or on the right side of the cookie tray? And what happens if you trip and they all start mixing together?
Oh God. It's actually funny you mentioned that, because that's one of the things they brought up today.
Oh, no.
Because she was only 24 when it happened, and they were like, oh, she was, and it was really very frustrating, because they were like, oh, she was just 24-year-old girl and all these grown men. Did you think she was supposed to stand up? I'm like, well, yeah, kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like her
That's
dad
your
apparently
job.
is like a famous armor.
Nepo, baby.
Exactly, Nepo armor, which is exactly what you want.
Listen, I this whole Nepo baby thing makes me angry. It's like, listen, who cares? So Jamie Lee Curtis had famous movie star parents, and she became a movie star. Duh. She's got good genes and she had connections. Why the hell would you not cast the daughter of famous movie stars in your movie? You're gonna get some barista at Starbucks, because they're probably just as good, but they're not bringing anything to nothing to the game. That's fine. But okay, the person who makes sure that the real bullets and the fake bullets, I want them. That's got to be a total meritocracy, 100%. Like they have to pass a test or something. They got to do SAT scores. There's got to be a reason why we hire this person to make sure, But no. And then they probably get. And I keep going back to the Twilight Zone thing. There are a few things that make me as angry as reading that, and every time they come up with a new account, I read it just to get angry again. I don't know why.
Right.
It's so. It was so unnecessary, so stupid, and none of the right people got called on account.
Sorry, I brought down the.
No, it's good. Man.
Hey, did you know Mark Singer was in V?
What? Canadian superstar Mark Singer, star of Beastmaster?
Was
Did
in
you know-
V.
Did you know that the tiger in Beastmaster died shortly after filming, and they think it might have been the dye?
No.
Really?
Yeah. That he kept trying to
What?
lick the dye off. Yeah, because they wanted a black Panther, and apparently panthers don't train very well. Apparently neither do tigers either, but they figured they could get a trained tiger and paint him black. And yeah.
Way to bring us down again, Bill.
Yeah.
Okay.
Man.
Yeah.
They should be on trial.
Well, I didn't want Renee to feel bad.
Oh, okay.
Oh, thanks. I
Yeah.
appreciate that. You outdowned my down.
Okay, here's my favorite nitpicking IMDb trivia of all time. For Beastmaster 2 Through the Portal of Time, the first piece of trivia is the subtitle of the film is Through the Portal of Time, but the plot doesn't involve travel through a time portal. The characters travel through a portal to a parallel universe where the 1991 Earth exists. Wow.
Oh my God.
Actually, this is the
Space
kid.
time, buddy.
This is the kid who got kicked out of the Star Trek fan club for being too much of a loser.
Too pedantic, yeah. Oh, here's another. This is related to what you were just talking about, Bill. It's never explained by why Rue the tiger was changed from a black tiger in the previous film to a striped tiger in this one. I bet it's because they wanted their tiger to live through the filming of the movie.
Oh,
Jesus.
oh, wow.
Yeah.
The nerd speaks darkness but truth. Yeah. Ugh.
I added that last part. That last part.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, sorry. That was my editorial. I was like, it's never explained. Huh, I wonder.
Should sick this guy on me, so he's like, hey, blood of the mummy doesn't actually bleed. Well, you're right there.
Oh, here's this. I'm sorry. I just love IMDb trivia now because it's like people just the most inane bullshit. Here's another piece from the same movie. When Dar is riding through L.A. in the convertible, they pass the Pantages movie theater, which is showing Beastmaster 2 Through the Portal of Time. That is the name of this movie.
Oh my God.
Losers.
Oh. Wow. Anyways.